And so it all comes down to this. After thousands of rounds and even more arrows, after countless qualifying matches and travels to 3 different continents, it all simply comes down to this. Stage 4 of the Archery World Cup Series is the final chance to get the job done, to make some noise, to make your mark, to win matches and respect, and maybe, just maybe, pick up enough precious points to qualify for a trip to Paris and the World Cup final. So the pressure is definitely on here in Poland. Wroclaw has seen thousands of years of history roll by, and this quaint old city will provide the backdrop for even more. For one last time, the battle is on for a ticket to France and the World Cup final. To reach a medal match, one must first run the gauntlet during eliminations. That was the challenge facing the women from both Denmark and India. The Danes had already done in the Japanese and German teams, while India survived a scare from Indonesia before handing Mexico a 9-point setback. The Danish women did their best, but the ladies from India, too strong, and they defeat Denmark by a comfortable 9-point margin. Meanwhile, the Russian Federation has no shortage of talent, but Korea's talent pool is deeper than any other nation. And so the Russians were facing an all-star lineup in the other semifinal showdown. Chang Hae-jin, Ki Bo-bae, and Yoon Oh-ki had already vanquished the USA by 16, Italy by 15, so the Russian woman could take some solace knowing they'd kept it close against Korea, losing by just 3 points. So on a sunny Saturday morning in Poland, the stage was set for this intriguing matchup featuring the Indian team, which had won the team gold medal in Medellin, a team that features Deepika Kumari, Remil Buriuli, and Bombaila Devi Lashram. They did not face the Koreans in Colombia, who decided to skip stage 3. That, however, was not the case at stage 4. The Koreans out in force, and Ms. Chang, Ms. Ki, and Ms. Yoon would present India with a formidable challenge. As we pick up the action after 3 ends, it's apparent that neither team was about to back down. 18 arrows had been shot, and the score still tied at 163. Bombaila Devi steps up and sticks a 9. Buriuli buries her arrow in the center of the target. And Deepika scores a direct hit. The spotlight shifts to Korea, and the 2012 Olympic champ does the unthinkable. Ki Bo-bae puts up a shocking 6. That puts her team behind the 8 ball, but Chang Hae-jin steadies the ship with a 10, and Yoon Oh-ki pitches in with a 9. Still, the damage has been done. India leads by 4 with 3 arrows to shoot. Bombaila bombs away. This is on the line for 10 more points. Buriuli, bullseye. Kumari tried to salvage that shot, but her 7 still left India holding an insurmountable lead. Ki Bo-bae would atone for that 6 on her previous shot, but when Ms. Chang leaves her last attempt just to the left, there was no chance left for Yoon Oh-ki to save the day for Korea. In the end, the match had turned on 1 shot, but give India credit. 4 bullseyes in the final end is what really put an end to Korea and allowed India to pull off one of the week's top upsets. If you measure your victories by the strength of your opponent, then this was indeed a major victory for India.
Yeah, as we know, the Korea team is the best team in archery, so we just try our best in the field, so we won the match. We're happy.
Mexico had the same thing in mind during the semifinals in this showdown against the powerful Koreans. The Mexican team had already notched wins this week against Belarus and the Turks, while Korea had cruised past Chinese Taipei and Japan. No cruising in this one. Mexico took them to the limit, taking them to a shoot-off. But that was the end of the line as Korea wins the shoot-off by just 1 point. While all that was going on, the Americans had their hands full with Italy. Nespoli, Milotto, and Tonielli had already dispatched the Frenchmen and the Spaniards. But that's as good as it got for these Italians. The United States makes a clean sweep through eliminations, scoring wins over the Ukraine by 6, India by 1, and Team Italy by 9. By all rights, everyone expected the men's gold medal match to be just as close and just as entertaining as the women. The U.S. lineup included Brady Ellison, Jake Kaminsky, and Joe Fanshin, and 2 of those 3 gentlemen had teamed up last summer to upset the Koreans at the Olympics. Korea would counter with a squad that included 2 members of that team expected to win gold in London. Im Dong-hyun and Oh Jin-yek would now team up with the teenage newcomer Lee Sung-yun to try and avenge last year's loss at the Summer Games. As we move ahead and pick up the match after 3 ends, the Koreans are well on their way towards getting the revenge they seek. In this first meeting since London, they're leading by an incredible 24 points over the Americans, all of them struggling to gauge the shifting winds. Jake Kaminsky figures things out to start the 4th end, putting the biscuit in the basket, but the frustration continues for Brady Ellison and teammate Joe Fanshin, who'd actually been shooting a solid match up until that shot. 8s were contagious. Lee Sung-yun continues that dubious string of scores, but with such a large lead and teammates like Im Dong-hyun and Oh Jin-yek to pick him up, Korea can afford to be just a little off their game at this point. Unfortunately, the United States can't make them pay for the slight letdown. The Americans are all over the map as they search for an answer up until the final shot, when Joe Fanshin finally finds a yellow ring. Mr. Lee regains his form. And the same holds true for Im Dong-hyun, as well as Oh Jin-yek, who finishes up in strong fashion. Korea leads from start to finish, taking the suspense out of this match right from the beginning. On this day, the Koreans completely dominate and win going away by 29 points. If Korea was looking for payback after London, this was it. This is the first time for us to compete here in Wroclaw and get a feel for the wind. The women on our team were able to handle the wind and perform well, and they mentioned to me how to read the direction of the wind and how to shoot in this venue. So, it was very helpful for us. All things are possible during qualifying. It's a time when every team can hope and dream, a time when there's always a chance. Chinese Taipei harbored hopes of upsetting Korea in mixed team play. Chen Xin-fyu and Lin Xiaxia had gotten past Poland and Ukraine. But beating Oh Jin-yek and Yoon Oh-ki, well, that's a different story. And it was Korea walking away with a happy ending. On the other side of the ledger, Italy had a pair of former Olympians going into battle. After making short work of India and then Mexico, Japan was next on the list. And the Japanese team quickly became just another victim during Italy's march to the gold medal match against Korea. On now to the mixed team finals. Italy represented by Mauro Nespoli, a member of the gold medal team in London, and Natalia Valeva, a remarkable woman who's represented 3 nations in multiple Olympiads and has the medals to prove it. Of course, the same could be said of Oh Jin-yek and Yoon-oh Ki. They've got some Olympic medals in their trophy cases back home in Korea, too. All right, let's jump ahead to the start of the second end of this match. With Sergio Pagni and Marcella Tonioli looking on from the stands, Korea's got a 2-point edge. Mauro Nespoli fighting the elements, and the wind wins this battle, leaving Nespoli shaking his head. The nightmare just keeps getting worse as the veteran Valeva shoots low and scores a 4. Only 9 points on the first 2 shots for Italy. Oh Jin-yek shoots true to form. For that matter, so does Yoon-oh Ki. The 2-point lead is now an 11-point lead. Mauro gets back in gear with an arrow that's hugging that line. And compared to a 4, 8 is great. Italy finishes strong, but those first 2 shots could haunt them, especially when there's no let-up in sight. Back-to-back bullseyes by Mr. O and Ms. Yoon bump the lead up to 14. We skip ahead now to the 4th end, and Korea now holds an 18-point advantage. And that 18-point advantage quickly becomes a 23-point edge with 2 shots to go. Nespoli gamely fights on and finishes his day with a 9, while Natalia nails her final shot to give the Italians a total of 129 points. The match is already decided, so there's no pressure on Mr. O. He and his partner can be free and easy and relaxed because this one's in the bag and has been since Italy's first 2 shots of the second end. The Koreans conquer the field in mixed team competition and do it in convincing fashion. The second end proves to be the turning point. Korea outscoring Italy by 12 points en route to a 24-point blowout in the mixed team gold medal match. My teammate Oh Jin-yek was really reliable, so I felt really comfortable during the match.
서로 믿음이 있으니까.
If it's raining, it doesn't really affect the way I shoot, but I make sure that I've waxed my string a little bit so it's waterproof.
That when your finger tab absorbs water, for recurve shooters, it's a little bit more difficult to shoot and a little bit more difficult to predict where your arrows are going to be going.
When it's windy, just have to aim up a little bit. If it's very, 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 very windy, I might be naughty and I might move my clicker a little bit so it's easier.
Hot weather, I use the talco, you know, the white powder, to take away a bit the sweaty part.
Lots and lots of water. I mean, everybody has to deal with it, and you just have to deal with it better than the next person.
The women's bronze medal match shaped up as one of the most intriguing scenarios on Recurve Sunday. It would not only impact Mexico's Alejandra Valencia, it would also affect the future of America's Miranda Leak, and of course her opponent, Ju Hyun-jung, who could assure herself a spot at the World Cup final by winning this bronze medal match. The same held true for Valencia. If she lost, though, Miranda Leak would take Valencia's place in Paris. And if the Korean lost, she would not necessarily be a shoo-in for September's finale. Now, using the set system that we use now, we jump ahead and pick up the action with the score tied at 3 after the first 3 sets. Judging by this shot, Ju Hyun-jung very much wants to be in France next month. Valencia does too, but that 9 doesn't help her cause. Miss Ju's chances look even better when she just about splits her first arrow. The set seems to be slipping away from Valencia, who cannot match Ju's first 2 shots. And when your opponent just won't miss, there's not much you can do about it. A perfect set for Ju Yun Jung, who picks up 2 more points on Valencia, who finally drills one right down the middle. Nonetheless, Alejandra's in a bit of a bind, trailing 5-3 in this consequential match that will tell the story for 3 different archers. Not exactly a promising start to the 5th and deciding set for Ms. Valencia, but suddenly, Ms. Ju finds herself in the 8 ring. Can Valencia capitalize? It appears as though she cannot. Then again, neither can Ju Hyun Jung, who's giving Alejandra every opportunity to win the set, the match, and force a shoot-off. Instead of accepting this gift, the Mexican shoots a 7. But all is not lost, because on this day, Ju Hyun Jung has an even better gift for Alejandra. That 6 seals the deal. Valencia wins the set almost by default, and she's still alive. She wins the set, takes the points, and we're tied at 5 and heading for that winner-take-all shoot-off. Miss Ju will shoot first, and the magic she displayed earlier in the match is gone. That 8 puts her in serious jeopardy and provides Alejandra Valencia with all the room she needs to put this match away and punch her ticket for Paris. Done deal. Ms. Valencia, with more lives than a cat, somehow survives and thrives on a day when she may not have been shooting her best. But she shot just well enough and got enough breaks to secure her spot in the World Cup final. The women's gold medal match, an all-Korean affair featuring 28-year-old Yoon Ki, one of her country's most decorated female archers. She settled for silver in the team competition, but picked up gold in mixed team play and now wants even more. To get this gold, she's got to go through her countryman, Kibo Bae, the reigning Olympic champion, who comes into this match knowing she can get to Paris if she can get by Yoon Ki. That's a distinct possibility, since Kibo Bae's won 2 of their 3 head-to-head meetings. That being said, Yoon Ki is leading 2-0 after a well-played first set. Kibo Bae starts off strong in the second set, while Yoon Ki's shot is almost out of the center ring, but she'll get just as many points for that effort. Ms. Ki, a bit off-key with that try, but it's not a major issue after Ms. Yoon also comes up with a 9. Kibo Bae puts the pressure on Yoon, who needs a bullseye to gain a tie and split the set. That is not the answer she was looking for, and so it's on to the third set, all tied up at 2 apiece. Remember, Ms. Ki must win to get to compete in Paris next month. Yoon Ki regroups. A 9 to start the next set, which leaves her in great shape considering the fact Kibo Bae shoots a shocking 6 at such a critical time. She's left alone with her thoughts as Ms. Yoon attempts to cash in. Another 9? That will work just fine at this point, adding to the pressure on her opponent, who seems to be affected by it. Yoon Ki's final shot of the set? Not exactly her best result, but it's more than enough for her to put 2 more points on her side of the scoreboard. Yoon Ki is now in the driver's seat, leading 4-2. Scores of 6, 8, and 7, not what anyone expected, especially Kibo Bae herself. But here's the beauty of the set system. She's not out of it, not by a long shot. Win the next set, and you've got new life. Kibo Bae shakes off the last 3 arrows and posts a 9 on her first shot of the 4th set. Yoon Ki keeps pace with her Korean teammate. Wind doesn't seem to be much of a factor, but this next shot by Kibo Bae still drifts to the right, leaving her in a vulnerable position. An 8 by Yoon Ki bails out Kibo Bae, but just for the time being. She responds with a better effort on her final shot of the fourth end, but it could be her last shot of the match. A 9 or better will give the set, the match, the medal to Yuno Ki. The judges rule her shot was indeed touching the line. They give her the 9, and Yuno Ki gives us the victory sign. A dramatic finish to the gold medal match that ends Ki-Bo-Bae's run for the World Cup final. We know each other very well on the Korean team, so there is some pressure, but at the same time, there's less pressure. If I were to lose to a fellow Korean, there's no shame since we are the best in the world. After stage 3 in Medellin, Yuno Ki had a slim 3-point lead over China's Cui Yuan, and Alejandro Valencia was out of the picture. But the picture changed dramatically here in Poland. Ki-Bo-Bae is out, Valencia is in, joining teammate Aida Roman in Paris. The final match of the week would turn out to be a showcase for another one of Korea's rising stars. Only 18 years old, Lee Sung-yoon joined his national team this year, went 8-2 in match play, and is averaging almost 9.5 points per shot. To date, his best finish so far has been 5th place at stage 1 in Shanghai. But he's come a long way since China, now has a chance to face his fellow countryman, Jin Wang, a 22-year-old who joined his national team 3 years ago and made it to the gold medal finals at stage 1, where he lost a 2-point decision to Oh Jin-yek. As is our custom, we move ahead in the match and pick up the action after the first set, which turned out to be a perfect set for Lee Sung-yoon. He leads 2-0 heading into the second set, where Jin Wang opens with a 9. Mr. Lee matches that 9, so the ball is back in the court of Mr. Jin. He puts up a 10 spot to up the ante. That doesn't seem to faze Mr. Lee until something goes seriously wrong. Houston, we have a problem. Lee's arrow misses the target, no score. Jin Wang knows that all he has to do is hit the target and the match is tied at 2. He winds up with 29 points, so all Mr. Lee can do is play out the set, forget about the miss, and move on. Were it not for the set system, Lee Sung-yoon's fortunes would have been dashed. But since each set is only worth 2 points, he's not out of the match. In fact, it's all tied at 2 apiece. The 18-year-old rookie puts all that behind him and gets right back on track to start the third set. But he's in a real battle now with Jin Wang, who kills the spider with that shot. The second shot of this set is a 9 for Lee, which looms even larger when his opponent scores an unexpected 6. With 3 points to play with, Mr. Lee doesn't have to fret about that 8. It's more than enough to sew up this set, collect 2 points, and regain a 2-point lead in the match. Mr. Jin gets back into the bull ring, but that 6 cost him dearly. He's once again in the position of having to play catch-up, and time is not on his side. At most, there's just 2 sets left to go, if that. Still, Jin Wang soldiers on, beginning the fourth set with a shot that sends a statement. Lee Sung-yoon answers with an arrow that's on the line and could also be a 10. Jin Wang fires up a 9 on his next try, which isn't a problem because his opponent can only match that score. We're either tied or Mr. Jin has a 1-point lead with the final shot of the fourth end coming up. Another 9 is fine as long as Mr. Lee's first shot is also a 9. If it's actually a 10, then Mr. Jin could be in trouble depending on this next shot from Mr. Lee. It's a 10, and guess what? So is the first one. Lee Sung-yoon takes the set, the match, and his first gold medal on the World Cup stage. 6-2 the final score, and you get the feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of this 18-year-old for years to come. I really wanted to win the final of this World Cup stage here in Wroclaw, and I did it. My opponent in the finals was a Korean archer, so that had put more pressure on me. But at the same time, I learned a lot during this World Cup, and I feel much more confident now for future competition. After Medellin, Lee Sung-yoon was one of the many vying for a spot at the World Cup final. Jin Wang was on the bubble. But after this knockout match, Mr. Lee will be the second seed when we get to Paris. As for Jin-Jae Wang, there's always next year. For now, we bid farewell to Wrocław, Poland. Next stop, Paris and La Tour Eiffel for the 2013 Archery World Cup final. Follow all the action on archery.org.